So please click Got It when it appears on your screen. If you're not familiar, AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit or nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people to choose how they live as they age. With nearly 38 million members and offices in every state, plus Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, AARP works to strengthen communities and advocates for what matters most, with a focus on health security, financial resilience, and social connection. Today's program focuses on emergency preparedness, which is a part of our social change agenda in the area of communications and information. So, who's in the audience today? Who do you see in the chat, Vince?
Well, Jacqueline, we've got a lot of people from all over the country, actually. I saw somebody from Nashville, Linda, and Trisha from Spokane, and then we've got a bunch of people from the LA area. Welcome, and even Glendale and San Diego. So people from all over.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Vince. And thank you for sharing in the chat from everyone. We have represented from all over the state. Thank you for joining us. So glad to see so many of you today. Normally, we take a moment to answer a trivia question about our coffee. However, we've decided to give you more time with our guests today. This is a really important topic. So remember, please put any questions that you have for Melissa in the chat during the program, and she will answer them during our question and answer portion of our program. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Melissa Altman. Melissa is the Regional Preparedness Manager for the American Red Cross Southern California region. She joined the Red Cross as a volunteer in 2017 and became a staff member in February of 2018. Melissa helps with all things preparedness across the region, but mainly focuses her efforts in San Diego and Imperial counties. Her goal is to make more resilient communities by educating people to take simple steps to prepare their homes and families. One of the biggest passions in preparedness is the Sound the Alarm program. She has helped install more than 30,000 alarms in San Diego and Imperial County. In addition to her preparedness program, she serves as duty officer support every month for the Disaster Action Team program. She helps lead local large events like multifamily fires, wildfires, and mandatory evacuations. She also deploys to the other large-scale events in other areas to offer her support. Before coming to the Red Cross, Melissa worked in private wealth management at Merrill Lynch, helping manage billions, with a B, of dollars in assets. Melissa has a degree in business from Boston University. And now for a couple fun facts about Melissa. Melissa lived on a sailboat for a year, traveling all over the Caribbean, Central and South America, and she even sailed to the Galapagos Islands. She ran the Boston Marathon several years ago and finished in 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 21 seconds. Yay, Melissa, go Melissa. Melissa lived in Berlin, Germany, where she worked on the Quentin Tarantino film Inglourious Basterds. And she also lived in Sydney, Australia, and worked for a Minister of Parliament under Prime Minister John Howard. Melissa, welcome to Tea and Coffee Tuesday today.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. So hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. Today, we're going to talk about something really important, which is disaster preparedness. So I am going to share my screens with you. And again, the purpose of today is not just to hear it and go about your normal day. It is really about action. I need all of you to take action today so that you're better ready for a disaster at any moment. So on my screen, you can see some of the disasters we normally experience throughout the year. I will say almost every year, but I want questions from you, and I also want participation. So I'm going to ask you some questions along the way, and hopefully you can really absorb a lot of the information that I'm going through. So first, I'm going to ask you, take a guess at how many billion disasters we had in 2001. Billion with a B. Just put a number in there. How many $1 billion disasters did 2021 have? So if you could all type in the chat, I'll wait a minute just to get your answers in there. See what you think. And I will say, just as a reference, the American Red Cross used to have about 4 or maybe 5 large responses in a year. And as you can probably guess, what you've seen on the news, we're experiencing a lot more these days. And so we have disasters almost daily. There's wildfires that we experience. There's big flooding events across the nation. But drum roll, 2021 saw $20 billion disasters. On the screen, you can see the map of the United States. They're everywhere. You're not really safe anywhere you go, no matter where you live in our country. They are spread out pretty evenly across. So I want to show also that in 2020, we actually had the most $1 billion disasters we've ever recorded in history, which was 22. So we're very high. And just as a taste, these are a couple of the 2022 disasters we've experienced. A lot of these you may have seen on the news. Some of them you get overwhelmed with all the news that's going on, so you may not hear about it. But as an example, they had a bad Arizona fire where they destroyed over 24 homes. Montana flooding, you may have seen in the news, that was pretty significant. It had 87 people had to be airlifted, causing $29 million in damage. So these are a couple of the events that we've had. And as you guys said, we're having them all the time. And just to give you a trend, this is the why we want you to prepare. So over the last 40 years, we've seen a drastic increase in the number of disasters. So just take a look and you can see the different colors and what they represent. But ultimately, you see that trend line. It's increasing every single year on the most part. So they are more costly. There's more people that are affected. There's more damage being done. So what do we learn from that? Well, the odds are that a disaster will strike, that you and your loved ones will be affected by disasters, and they can happen without warning. A lot of them will not get much of a warning. I know I live in Southern California, and we have wildfires that can pop up in seconds, and they spread very quickly if we have strong winds. So they happen very, very quickly. They can affect any community. As I said, any one of us is at risk of experiencing these things. So you may have seen the several tornadoes that ripped through the United States. They were dropping periodically through a huge stretch of land. So really, people need to be prepared because you never know when they're going to happen. Now, what we classify a disaster is that if the normal response systems are overwhelmed. And I want to touch on that in the next screen, but you have to understand that our normal systems are not meant to handle a huge increase. So a lot of our systems can easily be overwhelmed. It also is a disaster if people are hurt and that there's a significant property damage, either damaged or destroyed. So the overall theme I really want to get through to all of you today is the time to prepare is now. We do not have time to wait for tomorrow. You never know when one will strike. So you can be empowered by just taking a few simple steps. And the why is it on us to be ready? Well, as I mentioned, systems get overwhelmed. We like to say the first 72 are up to you. That's the first 72 hours after disaster. The police, fire, other first responders, they're not available. They are going to be overwhelmed and they might have to be elsewhere. For example, in big wildfires, they are on the front lines just trying to control it so it stops spreading. They are not going to be able to rescue you and evacuate you. There are just too many people and too few first responders. So those first few hours after disaster are on you. You have to be independently prepared to take care of yourself, your household, possibly your neighbors, and any older adults that need extra assistance. So just imagine that. What does that look like for you? Imagine your circle, your neighbors, your friends, your loved ones. What are you going to do? How are you going to help take care of them? And how are they going to help take care of you? What we like to say is we want to create these emergency teams. and make sure your team is self-sufficient for at least 3 days. Again, that's 72 hours. But we at the Red Cross, we recommend even 2 weeks. So it's a lot longer, but I will say in Southern California, and I know I saw someone from Alaska, we experience earthquakes. Those can hit at any time, and the infrastructure breaks down, roads get closed, people will not be able to get to you. So you may have to shelter in place for up to 2 weeks. We saw it with big hurricanes. There's so much flooding after a hurricane, they can't physically get to certain communities. And we can't drive there. They try to airdrop items to those areas. But again, being self-sufficient empowers you and your family to ensure your safety and your comfort. So it sounds very scary, but let me tell you, it's very easy, very, very easy to prepare. So each one of us can do it. I'm going to go through the very few steps that we take, that we recommend everyone take to be more prepared. But it helps you stay safe, but it also allows you to adapt. Having choices and having supplies allows you to really quickly adapt to any circumstances. It also helps you recover. If you have things lined up in advance, you are more able to quickly recover than people that aren't. And we at the Red Cross experience this daily. For those that aren't prepared, they are caught off guard, and it takes them a lot longer. We actually help these families, and we work with them through casework. But I will tell you, it takes us twice as long with those clients that aren't ready. So please take these steps. And what we're going to share with you, our preparedness book. So it is for Southern California, but it's very applicable to across the nation. The 3 main steps the Red Cross recommends: get a kit, make a plan, and be informed. Those 3 steps, that's it. Those are so crucial to making sure that you and your loved ones stay safe. And again, this applies to any type of disaster anywhere in the United States. So what does a kit look like? So these are the kit essentials. Now they're going to have a household kit, which is going to be a more hardy kit, more supplies, but then also a go bag. This is going to be a mobile version of your household kit. Again, it should sustain you for 3 days, and then you can grab it to evacuate quickly. This is especially important for people that are in evacuation, quick evacuation type notices. So for example, I saw some people from Los Angeles, Southern California, actually Alaska, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico. We are seeing wildfires. Some of you, New Mexico actually had one of the worst wildfires this year. It's still not completely contained. But those type of events, you don't have time to evacuate. That go bag is so crucial to grab quickly and get out the door. You will not have time to put items together. And I will tell you firsthand experience, when you're in a rush, you will not think clearly of what you need to grab. The time to do it is now. Create that bag while you're calm, collected, and you can slowly think through everything you need. So please create this kit. Ensure that it includes everything that you need for every day. That's going to look different for all of us. I'm a vegetarian, so I have vegetable items in my to-go kit. But you might have certain medications, you might have certain medical equipment that you need. Think of those things that you need backup batteries for, and include those in your kit. Now, it's got to include items for every household member too. So if you have children or grandchildren, or you're a caretaker to an older parent, think about what that person needs in their kit, make sure to include it. So in this book that you're all going to get a copy of, there's a full list. So I'm not going to go through every item, but some things on the screen that you see are crucial. Water is essential. The main thing is clean drinking water. Imagine the plumbing goes out, especially in earthquakes and hurricanes. The water gets disrupted. It's no longer safe to drink. So having that water is really crucial to survival. Having food, some basic food for, again, the long shelf life foods. It can be canned goods, but I have the dried goods that are good for camping. Those have a long shelf life, so include those. Also have a first aid kit. A lot of times people sustain injuries, so you want to be able to provide at least basic first aid. Medications, obviously, I mentioned before, if you require a pill to take every single day, make sure to have those in your emergency kit. And then finally, a radio and flashlight. Those things are going to really get you through the nights and days. The radio, I will say, a lot of times communication gets overwhelmed. Cell towers get, either they can burn up in wildfires, get knocked down in hurricanes and strong winds. And so the only way to communicate may be to get that emergency radio and get those periodic updates. So highly recommend those items. A couple other things to consider is who needs the kit. Again, everyone in the household, including your pets, all your children. If you have grandchildren that you take care of, make sure their items are there. Where are kits needed? Always at home. I have one in my car, and at work, we're very well equipped at the Red Cross. So I'm very safe with our equipment. But all the places that you frequent. So if you have a place that you go to frequently, let's say you have a second house, a summer house, make sure that home also has a kit. And then where do I get these kits? There is a ton of them out there. I actually recommend, and I'm going to say Red Cross sells them, but I'm not doing a sales pitch because I recommend build one yourself. It is very easy to do. You probably have a lot of the items that are needed in your kit, but make it so that it's yours. These kits you purchase, they're a good start, but they're not tailored to your individual needs or the others in your household. So making sure to have those kits really personalized is really important. And then keep them refreshed. A lot of people don't realize, but bottled water, it expires. The plastic starts to break down. Even Band-Aids start to wear down and they lose their adhesiveness. So making sure to keep those kits refreshed, making sure the food isn't expired and the water isn't expired. And that's the best way to keep your kits in working order so that they're always good to go. All right. Now going over to customizing. Again, I'm just going to touch on these things, but a lot of the things are going to be based on your health and medical needs. Again, if you have pets, so I have a dog and he is he's big and hungry all the time. So making sure to have comfort items for him. I have treats, I have dog food, and I have a toy. So making sure to have those items with me makes my life better when he's calm, right? And then making sure you know what disasters are common in your area and what supplies you would need. So for those that live in colder climates, you're gonna need heavier jackets in case you have to walk through the snow. You never know. So I actually always keep a jacket, a pair of boots, a change of clothes, even heavy socks in my car. If my car ever breaks down, if I ever experience a disaster, I know I'm ready. So those are things to consider. I always recommend also having that list of prescriptions. Those prescriptions are important because the Red Cross and other emergency responders can help get you emergency supplies of your medication, but they need to know who your doctor is, what the medication is called, how many milligrams of that medication. So you have that list to easier provide to the people that are going to help you. That will make your life a lot easier and allow us to help you get those medications in an emergency. All right, so those are just a couple things on the kit. Again, I will say the redcross.org website has a lot of information about kits, plus the book, the electronic book you're going to receive also has a list. So just think about those items, what you need in your kit. All right, now the next step, make a plan. A lot of people don't understand how important this is until it's too late. So in a large disaster, a lot of times people aren't aware of how little they will have. They might not have their cell phones on them, or cell phones aren't working. And so all of a sudden they don't know, how am I going to communicate with my loved ones? I'm at work and they're at home. How are they going to know where to go? That's where the plan comes in place. If you talk about your plan of what you're going to do, it will make your life much, much easier and less stressful. So again, think about the disasters that are likely in your area, and then think about the household members and who has either access or functional needs. So if you're a caretaker or someone in your home needs extra care, think about what the plan is for that individual to have, making sure they have the best care. And then again, pets and service animals, they have, at the Red Cross, we take people into our shelter. We do not shelter pets. We co-shelter with other organizations. Here in San Diego, it's the San Diego Humane Society. They actually set up a shelter, usually on the same campus as the human shelter. But if it's a lot better though, if those pets have a place to go. So if you have a friend or relative that pet can stay with, it's a lot better experience for that pet. We do allow service animals, of course, in our shelters, by the way. All right, creating that personal support network. All right, so a lot of people may need extra assistance. So I have a family member that I care for, and he needs a lot more assistance. So we have a caretaker for him, but we also have a list of things that he regularly needs, and also neighbors nearby. So if there was an emergency, that neighbor could step in and help. So it's really important to identify those helpers, because usually in a disaster, you're not able to maybe not get around as easily. So it's really great to have those helpers in a nearby area of that person. So neighbors are going to be crucial to survival. You're going to lean on neighbors. They're going to be able to come into your home more quickly than someone that's across town. So think about talking to them if they can, provide help or assistance to someone that you care for. And then making sure that there's a backup. So talk to that person, create that plan, and making sure that everyone knows what the situation is. So making sure to assess the needs of the person that needs assistance. What kind of assistance do they need? How are they going to evacuate? Can they drive themselves? If they can't drive themselves, who's going to drive them? Where are they going to go? And then the communication. Again, when communication breaks down, it's a really good idea to have a relay method. What I say is identify at least 3 local contacts, and then 2 out of town. So I have a mother that lives in Arizona, and what we do is my sister that lives in Oregon, we have a relay system. So if we can't call each other from California to Oregon, we're going to relay through my mother, and I'll tell my mom I'm okay, and my sister will tell my mom she's okay, and then my mom will get back to us and let us know that each other are okay and have everything under control. So having those out-of-state contacts, because a lot of times locally, the communication breaks down. Cell towers are overloaded because of how many people that are trying to make calls and send text messages. And again, as I mentioned, cell towers can actually get destroyed in the disaster as well. And then meeting locations. I hope all of you have had a conversation about where you're going to meet, because it's not just during a home fire, for example. You want to make sure to meet outside the home, somewhere safe, distance away from the home, but nearby. But also how getting out of your neighborhood. If you were evacuated during a large disaster, where are you going to go? Who's going to know that you're there? So if you have that written down or even communicated with your loved ones, they'll know where you're going to go, and they can drive there to meet you there, or at least know you're safe. But having those locations is really crucial. A lot of people don't think about this, but know how to shut off utilities. So gas, electric, and water. A lot of times, so for example, the awful earthquake we had in San Francisco, the actual major disaster wasn't the earthquake itself. It was that it broke gas lines and started fires. There was more destruction of the aftermath of the earthquake than the earthquake itself. So really knowing how to turn off those utilities is crucial. Now, mind you, if you turn them off, the professionals have to come back and turn them back on. So don't turn them off in any given circumstances, making sure that it is a crucial time to turn them off. And then keep the needed tools nearby. So we need a wrench to turn off one of our water pipes. And so we have a wrench that's actually attached with a zip tie to the pipe. And we've both gone through it to how to turn it off. And then after the disaster, please let your friends know that you're safe. We, the Red Cross, actually do a Safe and Well website where we'll tell everyone that these people have checked in and they're okay. But it causes a lot of stress on families when people don't know they're safe. Okay, we're getting through it, and I know it's a lot, but again, this book that you're going to get is going to provide all these resources in much greater detail. That way you'll always have them, and you can refer back to them. So don't think you got to memorize everything here, but I do want to make sure you know kind of the basics of how to be prepared. This goes back to the plan. Again, how and where will you and your pets evacuate? Where do you want to meet your loved ones? How will you communicate? So if you're not able to use cell phones, how are you going to get in touch with them? Where were you going to store the important records? We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then where will you stay? So I will say the Red Cross welcomes you into our lovely shelters. They are not for everyone. Everyone is welcome, but I will say it is usually a very large facility where many people are sleeping on cots. And it could be like a gymnasium or a big school. But just know that you don't get the greatest sleep. I myself have slept in a shelter, and I had to wear earplugs and play music on top of it. And that's to get a comfortable sleep. So have a plan, have somewhere to go. You're not going to want to stay in a hotel because those could get pricey as long, if the disaster lasts a long time. Wildfires can last several weeks, and for them to get the fire out, actually several months, some of them. So making sure to have some place to go, a friend you can stay with, a relative, it's going to make your life a lot better. And can you shelter in place without assistance? Do you need any extra help, or could you be in your home without help? So the idea is to have all of these details really mapped out for you and your loved ones so that you know what to do without even speaking. That's what the best solution is. But the best thing on top of that is to practice. All of us are, within schools, they do fire drills for the children so they know how to respond, and they respond calm and collected. So that is the idea, is if you've practiced that, it's really empowering you to be calm and do it in a good way and respond well. All right. I know we're getting short on time, so I'm only going to touch on a couple of this, but I want you to all make a personal assessment of your situation. So do you need extra help? Are there items that you need to help you get around? Do you have a backup batteries for some of your devices? So think about how you're going to get around, how you're going to evacuate, what items you need to making sure that you have them and have power for them. If you need to get out of a building, are there stairs in that building? Do you need to be lifted out if you can't use the elevator? So these are things to start thinking about in order to ensure that you can get out safely and that all your loved ones will get out safely. The other thing a lot of people don't think about is the financial side. So making sure you have your vital documents stored. Now this could be in a cloud. You can email it to yourself. You can have photocopies in your emergency kit, but having them will help you recover a lot quicker. Having emergency contact numbers, photos. I will say once people survive a wildfire, the thing that I hear the most is that they feel the loss of their items that they can't replace, like their grandmother's jewelry or their photos from the 1800s. Those are things to think about how you're going to store those in the long run so that you can get them. Maybe you have a copy of them if they do get destroyed in the disaster. So having that is really important, having that plan for them. Insurance. I'm not an insurance broker, but I will tell you, I deal with people that don't have insurance, and it is a lot tougher recovery. Some actually that experience home fires or disasters become homeless because they don't have insurance. So think about, do you have enough insurance? If you got your insurance several years ago, is it still adequate today based on the value of your home and the cost to rebuild? So think about all those things and what is covered. Your home insurance only covers so much that it usually doesn't cover earthquakes. So look, if you're earthquake prone area, making sure to have that. And then floods as well. Are you in a high flood area? Making sure to have extra coverage. All right, I do want to touch on what to expect in the shelter. As I mentioned, it is like in the picture, it could be a lot of people in one area. But if you're asked to evacuate, first and foremost, get yourself out safely. We don't want anyone to get injured, so we really want you to get out. We'll provide the information we provided on where to go by the authorities, but making sure if you have time, like making sure to have that plan of what you're going to bring. And then know everyone is welcome. We allow anyone at our shelters. There's no ID checks. A lot of people that are nervous that we're a government agency. We're not affiliated with government. We welcome everyone. And so when you arrive, we just ask that you tell us what special needs you have, and we'll do our best to making sure we meet those. So again, we have partner agencies that partner with us to house the large animals like horses, pigs, and goats, because they show up at our shelters too. And then what to bring. We want to make sure that, again, you are most important to get out, you and your pets. But after you're okay, then think about what you can bring. So these are the tips. The bedding is a great one, some clothing, medication, medical equipment, and then again, your emergency kit. We don't allow alcohol, illegal drugs, or any kind of weapons. So it is meant to be a safe environment for everyone, and that's how we make it safe. So please think about it. If you are going to come to one of our shelters, items you're going to bring, but only if you have time. And then these are some of the services that the Red Cross offers. Again, it's always a safe place to sleep. We have meals, snacks, and water always provided, 3 meals a day. And we have health services. So if people have health needs during a disaster, we have actually certified nurses and EMTs. We also offer mental health professionals that can offer assistance for emotional support. And we do have services helping connect to people that may be lost. So we have a system, an actual national system that we use to making sure that we connect those people. And we always provide updated information from the authorities on the disaster. So if a wildfire is moving across, we always making sure that we know where it's going and what areas are now evacuated and when it becomes safe for some to return to their areas. Okay, last step, be informed. So this is really important because it is knowledge is power. I find that I feel a lot calmer, stronger when I know what to expect. So if you know how you're going to get information, I recommend emergency apps. Now there's a Red Cross one, but a lot of your counties will have them. I know San Diego County, where I live, it's an emergency app. But check with your county representatives and see if you have an emergency app. It might be a state app. Some states offer them. I know Cal Fire is offered in the West Coast. They have an app as well. So I will say I'm not much of a social media person. I'm a little older than that trend, but Twitter and Facebook are actually great resources for the authorities. So fire departments, police departments, sheriffs, they post a lot of their information on their Twitter and Facebook accounts. So I would recommend a good making sure to follow them and to get those updates. Sometimes the first notice is actually on Twitter. So just think about that. Know what disasters are in your area. Again, it's so crucial to know what to do for each one. Understand weather alerts. So there's a difference between a watch and a warning. So know those differences, but also follow these instructions. The authorities are going to be telling you to evacuate. Don't wait, get out. And if it's, they tell you 5 minutes, you should have left already. So get out. And then know your neighbors. Like I mentioned before, knowing your neighbors is going to be really crucial to survival. And even when you're traveling, again, it's really good to think about what disasters those areas have. So you're ready kind of for anything. Finally, I recommend always having someone in the household that's CPR and first aid certified. All right, and I'm going to ask you really quickly, how many of you, tell me what disaster do you think is most common in the United States where most people die than any other disaster combined? So what do you think it is? Type what your guess is. What's the disaster that affects all of us and actually kills more people than any other disaster combined? I want to put it in the chat. What do you think? Quick guess. All right, give you a couple seconds. All right, I'm seeing a few. Some of you are getting it right. It is house fires. Roughly 335,000 house fires every year. That's one every 90 seconds. 36 people are injured every day and 7 people die in the United States on average every day to home fires. So in the book, there's a place about how to prevent home fires. I highly recommend looking through it. The Red Cross provides free smoke alarms everywhere in the nation, everywhere. So if you don't have working smoke alarms, please do. You have no excuse. They're free. So contact your local Red Cross, making sure to have them. I want someone to guess. I'm in California. So what do you think are the most common disasters in California? Quickly type in the chat what your guess is. Which ones do you think? The most common 3. So a lot of people, I mean, this is besides home fires, but what do you think? All right, see if your guess is coming through. All right, it is earthquakes, wildfire, and floods. So it's good to know about each one of these. I'm only going to touch on them because I'm running out of time, but I want you to be aware of all of these types of disasters and what to do. So this is really applicable for other parts of the world, but this is the ones that are most common to California. Earthquakes. Again, these are some images of how to adjust to your needs. So the best way is to drop, cover, hold. It is not go into a doorway anymore. It is to drop, cover, hold to protect your head. But if you can't get down to the ground, these are some alternative ways of protecting yourself. So making sure to take this in consideration. You have seconds. So you want to do it as immediately as possible. Wildfires. Know how you're going to get those updates. The wildfires change direction so quickly and they are so fast. The length of 80 football fields per minute was the Camp Fire up in Northern California. So that is so incredibly fast. Knowing what to do, where it's going is going to be crucial. So have those updates, listen to the emergency responders and what they're recommending. Having that evacuation, but you can clean your gutters, making sure that your roof and gutters are clean, and have that designated meeting place. Again, this is all before, during, and after, but just taking these very few steps can really help you able to survive, but also meet up with your loved ones. And floods. These are just a couple of the differences between a watch and a warning. This is really crucial. So a watch is just saying that it's possible. A warning is actually, it's here and happening, and it's likely it is going to be in your area. So take immediate precautions. So just knowing that can really give you a more sense of the urgency. So these are a couple of the resources I just wanted to share with you quickly. Some of them are applicable more to California and Southern California, but a lot of them are national agencies. The Red Cross being one of them. There is great information on our website. We have an emergency app that actually walks you through how to prepare, respond, and recover from emergencies. So it's a great app. FEMA has one. But again, those San Diego for the San Diego County, have one for your local county. Those are going to be the ones that tell you what's going on in your area. So again, we'll give you a copy of this one, but think of the resources that you can look into to get more information about your specific area. And the checklist. So know what disasters are likely, check that off. I have a household disaster plan, make sure you do. That kit, and then I read the preparedness booklet that we're going to be giving you, all right? And last but not least, I wouldn't be a good Red Crosser if I didn't mention volunteer. If you want to feel empowered, I will say it really gets, you really realize how much people need when you see it directly yourself. So we do everything from alarm installations, which is one of the programs I help with, but we do blood delivery. So hospitals we supply in San Diego, 40% of the blood is provided by the American Red Cross. So it's amazing that people donate blood. I donate platelets, but we need drivers to making sure those hospitals have them. And then we need responders, those disasters, we need all the people we can get. If you like helping others, it's a great opportunity. And then we also work with service to armed forces. So if you are inclined to, I was bitten with that bug, and I will say I love it. It's one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. I feel lucky to work with the Red Cross. So if you feel like joining us, here's some information. You can contact me, your local Red Cross, but we'd love to have your help. We can always use more hands. It is incredibly rewarding. I will say, I think I get out of it more than anyone I serve. So it's incredible. So with that, I want to open it up to questions. I'm sorry I went a little long, but please feel free to ask any questions you may have about disaster preparedness or the American Red Cross. I'd be happy to answer them.
Oh, Melissa,
I know, rapid fire.
Melissa, thank you so much. You have
Yeah.
really shared a lot of really good, helpful information. And we have put several links into the chat for resource information, books that you can look at for additional information that Melissa has provided. So definitely check that out in the chat. And I know I saw a lot of questions coming up. So Vince, let's go over to the chat. What questions you have for Melissa?
Yeah, so some of the questions I saw, and if you did post a question and we've missed it, please feel free to repost it. How do you know how to turn off the gas? Can you call your gas company and have them come and show you?
They won't come and show you, but they can walk you through it. It really depends on your individual company, but I know here in San Diego that they actually can walk you through it. They'll show you pictures of the different types of devices and show how to turn off each one. So
Right.
ask the authorities, ask your providers.
And how would you get to a Red Cross shelter if you do not have transportation?
Great question. So we work with the authorities. So Red Cross does not provide transportation. We work with the local authorities, and they typically can help provide transportation. It's either the local sheriff or police. They are responsible typically for evacuations.
All right. Sandra recommended CERT training. It's Community Emergency Response Team training.
Yes, I
Can you
love
speak a little
CERT.
to that?
Yes, CERT's a wonderful organization. So they do, they are state funded, and they get trained to be responders. They're still volunteer, but they're trained specifically by the state, and the program's paid for. And they're meant to be the most prepared in the community so that they can help take care of others. So Red Cross actually works with them. We tap CERT to help work at our shelters and help work at our evacuation sites. But they're a great organization to get prepared and also to give back to your community. So look at CERT, it's CERT, and they will really help get you in shape in preparedness, and also provide help in your local community.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Robin has a question. What are the records and documents most people need when requesting help after a disaster?
Yes.
Are there ones we should be sure to back up?
Yes, great question. So I recommend your insurance documents. So if you have health insurance, but also home insurance, you also should think about any kind of licenses. So a marriage license, documenting as proof of your marriage. Also your even car title, making sure to have that with you so that you can prove ownership of all of your items. Even a copy of your driver's license. I keep a copy of my passport, even my birth certificate. So if I ever needed to replace any of those items, I have proof of who I am and all of my information. So it helps really, if I lose the originals, it helps with the recovery. And mind you, I've emailed all those copies to myself. So I have a copy I can access no matter where I am.
That's great. Okay. Just a general comment, the kit takes a lot of space and we have to replace a lot of expired items and it's very expensive. Any suggestions?
Sure, I will say do the best you can, right? The most important thing is water. I will say it is incredibly hard to store enough water for a household, let's say of 5 people. We recommend a gallon of water per person per day. So if you have, you want at least 3 days. So it's a lot of water. So if you can't store it all, which I have a smaller home, I just store what I can. And I do have enough for my pets and for us for at least 3 days, but the 2 weeks is the hard part. So do what you can. Know that a lot of the items you probably already have. You should already have a first aid kit at your home. So just making sure you put that in your kit. Food is actually pretty cheap. I went to Costco and got a large box of camping food. It's dried food. And so it was pretty cheap, and I was able to purchase it over time. So you don't have to buy everything all at once because that can get expensive. But if you just buy a little bit gradually, it works really well. And, I will say Amazon, I found a lot of stuff pretty cheap. My emergency radio, it's both solar and crank powered. I found it for, I think, $15 online. So there are some pretty cheap alternatives out there that work well.
Yeah, that's certainly something that I have myself at home is some of those solar mats that can charge up things, including your cell phone. So,
Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
the electricity's out, it's a great way to be prepared.
Absolutely.
Now, Sophie was asking, when you select meeting places, are homes the best place to meet, or what about a school or church parking lot?
Yep, those I would recommend outside of your community. So for example, in a wildfire, you may have to go several miles away. So you may not know someone in that community. So yes, a church parking lot or a park, a public park might be a great location. The idea though is, you know, you'll stay in your car and you'll have your emergency kit in your car, your to-go bag. So as long as you have that with you, you can be anywhere with your car. And so, but the communication is key. If no one knows that you're going there, you don't know how to meet up there. So making that plan and communicating to your loved ones that that's where you're going. So yes, a church parking lot would be great. I'd recommend a public park. That way, no one's going to kick you out. It's public land.
Yeah. Now, Sandra was saying, do not store plastic bottles of water directly on concrete as toxins leach through bottles.
They can, and I will say my water is not in plastic because plastic does break down. So there are alternatives, like there's bags, there's actually cardboard waters that you can use, and even there's like metal containers, but making sure that it is safe for long storage is key. There's a lot of different things out there. In fact, there's one that you can fill up your bathtub and it's a bathtub liner. There's a lot of different methods, but just making sure that it works for you. So I also have a straw that has a filter on it so that if I have other water sources, I can still drink directly and filter out any of the bad stuff coming through. So I could even bring this straw to a lake and drink directly from the lake. I also have a storage bottle that has a filter in it as well. A lot of people do iodine tablets, as long as you don't mind the taste of iodine. Those work well too, but you have to have a water source in order to clean the water. So we also in the book have alternatives of where you can find additional water, including from your water heater, the back of your toilet. Those are actually clean water sources. You can boil them too to make extra certain if you have a way of boiling. I actually in my emergency kit have a little camping propane bottle, small one, and heater so I can heat up things. So those are things to think about though, how you're going to get the water if you're going to have a filter, or how you're going to store water if you're going to store several gallons. So mine is not plastic. And so to your point, yes, plastic is not the greatest. It does last for quite a while. I tend to keep it out of the sun because even the sun has an effect on those plastic bottles.
Now, do you have a schedule or recommendation for checking expiration dates on the kits?
Yes, it's one of the challenges is that things have different shelf lives. So for example, a granola bar might be good for, let's say, 7 years. I have my water bottles, usually plastic water bottles are only good for a few years, maybe 3 or 4. My dried food is good for 25 years. So it unfortunately does have different dates, and you should see dates on them. So even first aid kits should have a date on the outside of them. The Band-Aids might on the box, but not individual Band-Aids. So you'll just have to go through it. And I will say, it reminds me of things every single year when I do it, because I then am like, oh, you know, I was thinking I should have had this instead of this, so I'm going to switch this out. So checking it actually every year is really rewarding and actually makes it a better kit every single time, because I'm thinking about what other things I may have missed the first time I made my kit. So it is a little challenging, but yes, you can look at the expirations. All food, water items will have expirations. The main thing with Band-Aids, just making sure that adhesiveness is still there. And even hand sanitizer, that expires. Those have on the bottle the expiration date. So just keeping an eye on those dates to making sure that they're not expired. It's challenging, but it's rewarding. Let me tell you, it's very rewarding to do it because it will help you in the long run.
And we did have a great suggestion from Anita saying rotate the food out and every so often trade it out for regular meals and replace the emergency stash. So
absolutely. And I even have a family that volunteers with us. They actually have a picnic with their items. So once they're coming up to expiration, they actually go out and eat those items and kind of at a camping site and have a little picnic and then replace them. So they make it an
Nice.
event every year to kind of swap out the food, the old stuff to the new.
That's a fun way of doing it.
Yeah.
Now, Anna said, I keep hearing about the book you'll get. Is it one of those links that you posted in the chat, or? is it
I
something else?
believe, let's see, it's the PDF. I'm checking the links right now. We do have it available. I can send you a link for it. I don't know if you were able to drop it in the chat, but I can grab it too and put it in.
Yes, it's in the chat.
it is?
If
Okay.
you click if you click the link, it's in the chat. It says how to prepare for emergencies, and the link is there, and you would click the link.
Okay.
All right, and we are just about out of time. So back to Jacqueline.
One question that did come up, I saw, if you could answer it quickly. If you don't have transportation, how would you get to a shelter?
So that's a great question, and that's part of having that plan. So if you have a neighbor that could take you or a loved one that lives nearby, that's why you have to have that plan if you don't have transportation. In an emergency, the authorities do their best, but a lot of times they are rushed to get people out. They occasionally I've seen that they provide buses, but it really depends on timing. If you want to be the safest, you want to make sure you have your own transportation plan. So if you don't have a car, having that neighbor that is willing to come get you, or a loved one that lives nearby that can come get you, is going to be what's crucial and to take you.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Yeah, Rita has
Yes.
her hand up.
Melissa, thank you. This has been
Yeah.
a wonderful presentation.
Absolutely.
A lot of helpful and insightful information. If you came late and missed any part of the presentation, or just want to go over it again, you can please check it out on our AARP YouTube channel. And fill in any blanks or get some additional information. Again, this has been wonderful. Thank you very much, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the time, and hopefully all of you can take steps today to get more ready.
So everyone, thank you for participating today. We hope you feel encouraged and inspired to think about being prepared during an emergency, and speak with your loved ones and friends about developing or updating your emergency plan. We'd love to get your feedback on today's session, so please fill out our survey. The link is in the chat. So we have several upcoming events. Next month, Tea and Coffee Tuesday program, part 2, Herb Your Enthusiasm, Tuesday, August 9th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Sarah June is back, and she'll tell us how to successfully grow herbs indoors and outdoors during California's drought, and hear some cooking tips with herbs. So be sure and register at the link below at CVents. We also have our ongoing series for money, Piggy Bank Essentials with Martin, part 3. He's going to discuss the money saver. Are you a spender, saver, maker, or grower? Martin will distinguish the differences to help you understand your money management style. We'll be discussing everyday habits that make us financially resilient and teach us wise money saving choices on Thursday, September 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Please register at CVents. If you have any additional questions or suggestions for future Tea and Coffee Tuesdays, please contact Atisha Jones at the email below. And we'd like to thank everyone, especially our guest, Melissa Altman, our moderator, Vince King, our volunteer production crew, Sophie and Atisha, and our tech specialist, Vince King, and of course, our AARP staff. And most of all, thank you, all of you, for participating today. Again, I'm Jacqueline Cole. Thank you for joining us today. And this concludes our program.
Thank you for having me. Really a
Please check
pleasure.
the chat for any information because I've been placing information in the chat. So please check the chat and click the link that's been placed in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate the opportunity of being here.
Thank you for coming. Hang on
Yeah.
1 second, Melissa. Let's
Yeah.
make sure everybody has what they need.